Hello, everybody, and welcome here to the Sports Talk Network. Welcome here to my channel, and welcome to this separate video. Later in the week, I have the Ramble, Steve's Wrestling Ramble. We'll be discussing Money in the Bank, also some TV show reviews, a special episode or special video coming up at the end of the week. My thoughts on a TV show that's near and dear to my family's heart, the end of the Big Bang Theory in that show, and I'll be giving my thoughts on its series finale and the show all in total. But here in this specific video, I'll be talking about anxiety, something that I've been talking about a couple of times with my friend Eddie from Canada, and some other friends that I've had on the show or had in previous videos on the topic, and then also about passions of life, passions in general. But here interviewing a friend of mine, Haley, who you'll find through Facebook Live and otherwise. But I'll let her introduce herself. So let's introduce the guest of honor this evening. How are you doing this evening?
I am Hallie. I am doing great. I'm super grateful that you asked me to do this with you because anxiety and having passions for things is something that definitely has grown for me in the last year. And definitely talking about anxiety, depression, and the like, because there's so many people who don't talk about it and they treat it as a stigma. And I just think that that all has to stop. So it's something that I am definitely passionate about talking with you about. So I'm super excited. And yeah, let's just get going.
Yeah, I believe this is or I know one of these months, of course, is Mental Health
This
Awareness Month. I think it is this month.
this is the month. Yes.
So this is even the best month to be discussing it.
Yeah.
Here. But just to ask you first, in regards to depression and anxiety, I guess your own story, with you yourself, and how it's affected you and how you've been able to, I guess, combat it in your own way.
Yep. So for me, I feel like I was very much an extrovert in high school, and I was always out there and always doing things and always having fun. And um, in probably 2006, my thyroid started having issues, and I started like I'm being completely honest here. I started gaining weight, and I couldn't figure out why. And I was always a smaller woman. Or a girl. I was always in my mind. I felt attractive, and as I started gaining weight, that perception of myself changed, and it literally just dropped me into this depression. Um, that I couldn't figure out. And I started on medication when I was probably 23, 24, and that helped for a while. And then like, I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but as soon as you start feeling better, you think you're fixed. And then you don't need the medications anymore. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And by the time I realized I was back down, I had my first son or my first child, my son Henry, who's 4 now. And it swung me into postpartum depression really, really low. Like I couldn't take a shower. I couldn't brush my hair. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't function. And that really was a big sign for me saying that I needed to get help. So I went back to the doctor. I talked to them. I promised to take the meds. I promised to do all the things that I needed to do. And of course, I did it again. I got pregnant with my daughter, who's now 20 months old, and I stopped taking the meds because I was fixed. I felt great, and I think it was June, so I was like 7.5, 8 months pregnant, or 8.5, 9 months pregnant. I was almost due, and I ended up having an anxiety attack. And I talked more about depression, but with the anxiety, after I had my son, like I started worrying about going out to places. Like you couldn't get me into the Mall of America. I live in Hudson, Wisconsin, or by Hudson, Wisconsin. So I'm 40 minutes away from the Mall of America and the big airports and big stuff. And you couldn't get me to go to the Mall of America. You couldn't get me to go in large crowds. You couldn't get me to do anything. And I couldn't figure out what that was. I couldn't figure out that I didn't want to be in a place where I would think that terrorists or whoever could get me. Like I just, because my life wasn't mine, it was my son's now, and I couldn't do that. And I shut down. Like I had a hard time going to stores. I had a hard time doing that kind of thing. Um, so promised the doctor when I had this anxiety attack, I wound up in the hospital. I had to talk to 3 different doctors, 6 different nurses, because I was that far along pregnancy wise, and they didn't know if they released me if I would commit suicide. That's how bad this was for me. Um, and I had never thought about doing that. I had never, like, that in my mind just wasn't really an option. So for them to bring that to the forefront, that I really wasn't able to take care of myself, let alone my child at this point, or my unborn child, it was a huge red flag for me. So I promised to set up an appointment with my doctor, and I went, and she's like, I can't leave or let you leave this doctor's office right now unless you promise to go on a medication and you take the first pill right here, right now, because it's not okay. Um, so I did, and I was better. I was okay. And I had my daughter, and everything's great. And then I found myself not wanting to take the meds again. Um, Sorry if I'm rambling. I tend to do that, but
That's all right. I do that too.
but I actually found a drink that has changed my life. I still take my anxiety meds and my depression meds, but I'm on a lower dose, and I'm not needing to take my anxiety meds as often because of this beverage. I don't make medical claims. I don't. That's not what I'm here for. Because that's, if you need medication, it's okay. It is okay to need help. Everybody, like, seriously, get the help. But my drink that I drink every day has helped me, like, just feel better about myself. So that's kind of where I'm at. And I'm actually able to be on Alive. I'm actually able to go to the Mall of America and do things now. And I can't say if it's just the mindset and the personal development that I've done, because that's something very beneficial to anybody who has anxiety and depression. Like, you need to focus on yourself, and you need to try to do things to be better. And it's more like forcing yourself to do it, because it's not always easy, you guys. It's really not. But it's something that's definitely necessary. So that was the answer to my question.
Right. Yeah. That's no, but I get that. And from what I take from what you're saying, not just in my own situation, but in hearing in other people's stories with their anxiety or with depression, where they did feel it of a stigma, they did um, kind of get castrated aside, especially if they were in school, if they were high school age, of kids, picking on them for it and saying, just get over it, deal with it, brush it aside, because to them, to the other person, what is this that's giving you anxiety? It shouldn't. You should be fine. So they have that mentality and trying, and then telling the person with anxiety that only made that person's anxiety worse.
Yeah,
And, and
my family did that to me. My mom, I told her that I was depressed and I was going on meds, and she's like, "So you're gonna kill yourself, or you're gonna try?" I'm like, "That no." Let's just stop you here. No. So then she called me every day for like the first 3 weeks. And
wow.
if I didn't answer, she'd call me 5 more times. Well, why didn't you answer? What are you doing? Are you okay? Are the kids okay? Like that does not help. Don't do that. Sorry to interrupt, but yes,
No, no, that's
been
no,
there.
yeah, definitely. And for me personally, I'm one that I have the mindset of trying to have the least amount of medication in
Mhm.
my body for my life.
Yeah.
I try to, whether truly needed or otherwise, like when I had acid reflux when I was younger,
Yep.
had to take medication for about 2 months. But I seriously did need to. I went to the hospital and they told me to do so, and I did so. But I
Right.
try to do things the other way. Like for me, I go to therapy. I've gone to therapy for 2 years now.
Yep.
So I do therapy, couch therapy with someone in Wausau. So that's what I do now. For someone else in their situation, like you're speaking on your own, that may not be best. You may have to get medicine. And maybe for me, it might still get there because I still have panic attacks. So um, I just try to avoid taking medicine. I just
Yeah.
don't want, I just, something weird about having extra chemicals in my body and this and that, even though it's good chemicals to try to make you better,
Right.
how that's going to affect me when I'm 60. sort of thing. Just like, wow, I'll never get tattoos. How it'll look when you're 60 or 80. You know, I
Right.
don't. I don't. I try not to take medication because I don't know how it'll affect me with its chemicals. The science part of it when I'm older, even though it's helping me now
No.
today.
Yeah.
Um, so for me, it's less stigma, more my own anxiety or thoughts of how it affect me. So that's why
Right.
I went the therapy route. Um, but that's what I was going to ask you for you, if that ever crossed your excuse me, your mind, Hallie, that maybe there was another way beyond medication, or is medication the only way that worked for you or was going to work for you in your situation?
I don't think so. I have gone to therapy. Just with my husband's hours and everything, like I know this is an excuse, but it's really hard for me to be able to go to therapy when they're only open when my husband's at work. And by the time he gets home, they're closed and I have nobody to watch the kids. So for me, like I've looked into doing like the online ones where it's like a video chat. And I haven't gotten that far yet, truthfully, but I've gone a few times and it's been helpful. They've given me books to read because I've told them, I said, the likelihood of me coming back is probably slim to nil. It's not your fault, but it's just strictly with my schedule. And they totally understand that. And they've given me books to read. They've given me workbooks to go through and just ideas of how to work things through because I feel like I have a really good perception of what my triggers are and like dealing with my past because that's what throws me into that depression.
Hmm. And and to be quite honest, as much as I do talk about my anxiety and it's pretty much worldwide known, it's a
Mm-hmm.
little odd talking with you specifically because I know your family. I went
Right.
to school with your sister. I graduated with her in 2006 and everything.
Yep.
So even being honest, talking with you, and I'm going to school with Kelsey. That yes, I've talked about it before on YouTube, and anybody could see that. But talking with you one on one, sharing it is a little opening myself up because I know you a little bit more personally than I do other people. But in sharing my story to you, um, for me, my anxiety are specific based. My anxiety right now, and I'm trying to get over, is highway. Driving on the highway, riding on the highway. I think it's the excess speed. When
Yep.
I was younger, when you first get your license, Need for Speed, always wanting to, I always enjoyed long car rides on the highway or driving, even if I'm not going anywhere.
Right.
I jumped on the highway, went down to Waston, then came home. That was a
Guilty.
waste of gas and waste of time, but I enjoyed that. But now I have the anxiety that I can barely go on the highway. It took all the energy in my soul to make it through, and I did, to go to Milwaukee and go to a basketball game on New Year's Day with my family because I was invited. So I made it for an 8 hour round trip, or to somebody else that's nothing, but to me, that was certainly a long adventure.
That's
Um,
huge.
but doing it without medication and doing it without whatever, doing it with the steps I've learned through therapy, steps I even tried to obtain myself.
Yep.
Um, I was very close with my grandfather on my mother's side, who passed away June of last year.
Mm-hmm.
And part of me, when I have anxiety feelings or my headaches or actual panic attacks, is I think of him. And I think not just of what he would be saying, but I just think of him in the spirit, him being here for me. And all the other techniques as well. But so it's driving on the highway. Also, for me, it's being in open space, not crowded space, like you were talking about for yourself. Being in crowds and not being able to be at Mall of America.
Yep.
For me, I would actually rather be in a bigger crowd and people close to me or whatever than being in an open field. Sometimes me and my mom go to the dog park here in Weston with
Mm-hmm.
Fat Puppy Dog, and sometimes I want to grab and hold on to my mom because
Right.
I feel anxiety with an open space than with an enclosed space.
Okay.
So that's my thing. And from what I've learned from therapy, it's because I was unemployed for a while after I got out of the military, and I was used to being in my dungeon here in the house downstairs and being in the enclosed walls for so long and not being outside and with people,
Right.
um, and just with outside period, that doing those things again and doing it more often now that I'm working and have been for 3 months now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, keeping a job is a good thing,
Yeah.
but but doing that and going out more often, not just for work, for other things, making some friends, being more sociable.
Yeah.
It's just like I have two lives. I have my YouTube social media Steven.
Yep.
Then I have my shy, scared, anxiety in the real world Steven.
Right.
And I want, and something that, again, that I've learned through therapy, which I'll share here to you, is that inner Steven that wants to come out is your not better self, but just is yourself, is you. But he's too afraid to come out in the real world because he has anxiety, depending on the situation, or otherwise, than how he is relaxed and calm and talking and rambling as I am here today
Right.
or any of my YouTube videos because I am in my domain. I am in what I love to do, and that's broadcasting. I love broadcasting. I'm looking into going to school for broadcasting. So,
That's awesome.
um, but again, just wanted to share with you, and like I said, it's a little odd because of how we know each other, but being upfront with you as well in my story and the situations where I have anxiety. Because for me, I have high level anxiety,
Hmm.
low level depression.
Okay.
And when I first had my panic attacks, I went to the hospital for every little attack. So I was there like 4 or 5 times in a month because I had these panic attacks. And I thought it was the end of my life, where I
Right.
thought that I was having a stroke or
Right.
heart attack because I could feel it in headaches or rapid heartbeats. And it always freaked me out. So
Well, it's scary.
after,
So it's gonna
yeah,
freak.
scary attack, it's because as I always tell people, the feelings are real, they're not made up,
Right.
but it's still all in your mind. And the only thing that's going to help you, even above therapy, even sometimes even more than medicine, is yourself. You have to change your thinking. You have to create the stories, as I learned, the stories that you first previously associated to negativity or
Yep.
negative, which is why it brought up the anxiety, because anxiety is the rapid acceleration of fight or flight, which is
Yes.
in everybody. Um, but on an excess level and a negative connotation. But again, for me, what I'm trying to take from my therapy and just in general in my thought process in regards to my anxiety is me. Stephen is the only one, even above other people's positivities, that can change my situation. Because I still get the thoughts, I still get the panic attacks and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, that's in regards to our stories in anxiety, and I guess in a sense depression.
Yeah.
Let's move on a little bit to passions. Like for you, passionate. What are your what
My
are your
passion
passions?
that I'm finding is lately is helping others figure out how they can be better, what they can do for themselves, and how they can help others with their story and being a positive person. So this is perfect because being able to talk with you, like I remember you in school, I remember the quiet Stephen, like you've always been quiet, and I've known that. So to find out that you're doing these YouTube podcasts and all of these things is really cool for me. So I definitely can see where there's two separate Stevens. So just try to blend them a little bit, and that's going to definitely help. Like I love being able to talk through things with people and help them figure out who they are and what they want to become. So I definitely agree that broadcasting is awesome for you. You definitely have the voice for it, for sure. So that's definitely appealing for anybody who wants to listen to a podcast. It's a very calming voice that you have, so it's awesome. Um, but like passions for me is definitely helping people. Like I don't care. Like if you drink what I drink, great. If you don't, great. Let me see how I can help you. A lot of my stuff is dealing with people who are challenged in anxiety and depression or weight loss, fat loss, all of those things. And to give somebody that extra motivation of I believe in you when their family doesn't, or their spouse has trouble for them or anything like that, or their friends just don't like what they're doing, or their family's like, oh, you're never going to lose this weight, or you're never going to feel better about yourself. And like, I want to be their cheering section. I want to be your cheering section to give you that heart and that love that you guys need to move forward. And I don't want to say forget your family, forget your friends, because that's not what I'm about either. But sometimes you don't need to listen to everybody to have success. You don't need to listen to the naysayers, because those are what bring you down, right? Like, the more you think positively, and it's all up here, the mindset shift. And just like, I want you to look up Joseph McClendon the third, and I think he's going to be super beneficial for you to listen to. That's the first person I thought of. I saw him, oh, where was I? In Dallas last September. And he came and spoke to us about triggering your inner self to be who you want to be. My company does all these events, and I go to as many as I possibly can. And every time my mind changes. Like, I had the first one, Jarek Robbins, who is Tony Robbins' son, came and talked with us, and he worked with us, and we worked through a lot of things. So that's another name that I would definitely follow on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, because they are so motivating to work towards better for you, whatever that looks like.
Right.
So definitely like my biggest passion.
And yeah, no, I was just thinking for myself,
Mm-hmm.
because you and I, Hallie, are kind of like in that way. Because even though my passion in regards to broadcasting is sports, I
Yep.
talk NFL and I talk WWE. Those are my things, and I love it. But what I've learned from family members, my late grandmother and others, that have told me that, and how kind I am, the nice guy I always was from school, grade school to now, is motivational speaking is something that they said I should look into. Um, and I thought, well, maybe even more specific than that, as you were even talking about, what you and your company does, is what if I had my own company would be somewhat the same. It'd be still in the broadcasting world, but broadcasting in regards to talking about health, talking about mental health specifically, because I've gone through the anxiety and stuff, and that being my niche,
Yeah.
talking about that and helping people, because I'm always one that likes to and have given advice to people. People have problems, they talk to me, I want to be there, whether a friend or otherwise. I did that in a little bit in high school, and I did that when I was in the military with fellow soldiers, being
Yeah.
there for them and whatever their situation was, serious or not. So, that's another, at least, avenue of broadcasting that I've looked into, because I, like you, want to be that person's cheering section when they don't have people to support. Because I've had people to not support me, family and otherwise.
Can I ask you
Um,
a question?
Go ahead.
So are you doing sports like in football and WWE because that's comfortable for you? And you're not talking about helping others and anxiety and supporting others because that's an uncomfortable topic.
I think it's less than I think it's less the topic being uncomfortable and more of what I thought would be more better for me as a YouTuber
Okay.
to talking about sports and stuff. Um, getting more, not to be vain, but more views and stuff.
Okay.
And getting your channel out there, and that being a catalyst. But hey, don't get me wrong, I love talking it. I
Right.
got 4 videos already lined up for this week and the weekend with a WWE pay-per-view coming up. So I
Right.
love doing it.
And
But
I'm
there's
not
always that
saying that
other,
I'm not
yeah,
saying
yeah. But I get what you mean. But I'm just saying, on the other side of it, in regards to talking about anxiety, that's why I do it as often as I can on my channel.
yeah.
Um, and maybe, you know, I create a second channel and that be where it goes for videos. But yeah, motivation speaking and being that, because I always like to, I always like to give advice. I always like to keep up with people and seeing how they're doing. I always like to to be that type of way, kind of like you're talking about, regards to what
Yeah.
you do, um, on a daily basis, and being the champion for them and being there for them, being part of their support system,
Right.
um, and helping them along whenever need to, in whatever in whatever way. Because honestly, I'm actually doing that with one person specifically, not through YouTube, but just in a friendship way of helping them and being there if they need to talk to specifically, and giving them advice. And I always go to quotes. I love quotes. I
Mm-hmm.
have a whole calendar that has quotes.
That's awesome.
Um, Here, one of these quotes from May 10th here. For a very long time, everybody refuses, and then almost without a pause, everyone accepts. From Gertrude Stein.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
I have quotes every day, from historical people because I'm a history buff. I love history.
And math
Um,
questions. That's kind of strange, but all right.
yeah,
I did a little background. The math questions really threw me off.
yeah, history buff, math. Yeah, I do math questions randomly. I do
That's
enjoy
awesome.
that. So math and history were my favorite subjects in high school, and speech and English classes were the ones that I wanted to stay away from.
Right.
But but no, it's just stuff like that. I always go to quotes when I'm going helping people. I go with my ethos. What is my life? Everything happens for a reason,
Yep.
and live life to the fullest.
And
Those
life
those
doesn't
are.
happen to you, it happens for you. So that's
Hmm.
another huge one. I asked about being comfortable with it and uncomfortable with talking about anxiety because where you are uncomfortable, that's where the growth is personally. So, like for me, when I first started doing lives, I would sit there and I would just randomly talk and I wouldn't have any energy and I wouldn't be who I wanted to be online or in life because I can totally relate to you having the two personalities, like when it comes to YouTube and outside in daily life, because for the longest time, I, as a sober person, like I still drink occasionally, but I don't drink a lot. But I wanted to be sober Hallie, but I wanted to have drunk Hallie's attitude or semi drunk Hallie's attitude because she was more outgoing. She was more lively. She was
Hmm.
more of what I wanted to be.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm starting to get there because as I was raised, I was taught that everybody's always looking at you. Everybody's always judging you. You can't do this. You can't do that. Don't gain weight. And that shuts you down after a while. And like it's like I'm trying to turn into a butterfly after being a caterpillar for so long. And it's daunting.
Hmm.
Like, it is so exhausting to do all of that self motivation and like, because you have to motivate yourself or inspire yourself before you can help anybody.
Hmm.
And that's like one of my biggest things. I did read a book by Gary Bishop as well, and it's called Unf Yourself. Um, Little dramatic. I do a lot of audibles. Don't have kids around if you're listening to it. But like the first chapter said, are you willing to do the things you need to do to succeed? And that resonated with me a lot because you're either willing to do something or you're not willing to do something. And I'm not talking about legal or illegal. I am talking about, are you willing to wake up at 4 a.m. to go to the gym to get the body you want? Or are you not willing to give up on a little bit of sleep? So it's those things. It's what are your what's stopping you from success? And that's
Hmm.
something that really resonated with me as well. It's such a good book. It's an easy, quick, I think it's like a 2-day read. It's really not too bad. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm big into Audibles,
Yeah.
or because I have the Audible trial and then Audible. Because I first got into audiobooks with wrestling books, and then also with the Who Done It series that used to
Yep.
be a TV show, Who Done It. And then I played the Twitter version game of Who Done It because I like the murder mysteries,
Yep.
um, and that kind of puzzle solving because I love puzzles, So I like the solving the puzzles and the crimes and stuff like that. So I listened to those books, um, which were read by Gilbert Jackson.
Okay.
But anyways, no, I am big into that. One thing I did want to bring up in regards to kindness,
Mhm.
you know, how I always am and how I was raised is the random act of kindness, always being kind to friend, family, or stranger, whoever.
Yeah. Sure.
Because you never know how it affects a person, especially a stranger.
Right.
Being kind, little things, bigger things, whatever things, because you really don't know their life. And for me, one issue that brought out an anxiety was my jealousy toward people. How I'm 31 now, and not, unlike Tyler, my best friend,
Yep.
or your sister, Kelsey, or others that are married with kids,
Yeah.
or other situations where you're just not there yet. And I had to get to a point where now it's just thinking of, it's not your time. The Lord put you on this earth for a reason. Your time will come when you are ready to receive it.
Right.
um but in the past it wasn't that kind of mindset again in the brain of mine, that I was jealous of that, and it got myself down, and negative things that, to the point that brought up the anxiety. But my point being is, like, for you in specific,
Mhm.
Hallie, and how, I remembered you, and how I guessed I perceived you,
Mhm.
and not in the way of jealousy, but just in general, that I never would have known that you ever had anxiety or depression of any level. Not to say I thought your life was perfect, but I did think and
Right.
assume that
Yep.
it was of different ilk. And, you know, but again, the point being is, you don't know everybody's life. You don't know what they're going through. And some that you think that their life is grand is not only not so, but even
Worse.
worse than you think, So, it's one of those, the generalized thinking is don't judge the book by the cover.
Right.
But to me, I take it even deeper of, that's why wherever I am, whatever I'm doing, whether I'm at work and being, extra act of kindness with a stranger, or just what if I'm going to the library and opening a door for a couple of people because I don't have anywhere else to go myself, otherwise I wouldn't be there, So,
Right.
just doing those nice things for strangers and how that might make their day or their life, you never know. So, um, that sort of thing, because I did see one of your Facebook lives. Actually, I've seen a couple of them even before reaching out to you,
Yep.
and was like, yeah, I didn't think that was the case. I knew this and known this family for most of my life. I
Right.
didn't think that
Sure.
this, be the case. Again, I didn't think your life was perfect, but I did think it was of a different kind of way. So to understand and realize of your situation and your story in regards to anxiety, and even more shocking, I guess, the truth behind of you speaking of your family's reaction, or
Yeah.
specifically parents, um, surprising to me as well. So,
Yeah.
all of that, I guess you can say,
It.
from my point of view.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. I had one of my cousins, one of my closest cousins, tell me to just get over it, and that was last February. Um, I was having an anxiety attack at Eagles Club. Figure that out. Like, that's just how it was. And oh, just go get over it. I'm like, I can't. And Kelsey's done a lot of research on working towards helping me get through this because she's my best friend and she cares and she wants what's best for me. Obviously, she's my sister, and that's just how it is. And we
Hmm.
are really close, so I can talk to her about anything. And like, she came into the bathroom with me, and I'm like, I'm not leaving the bathroom. Like, I'm not going out there. I'm not dealing with this. I'm no. And she's like, you're fine. She needs to just get over it herself, and you're fine. So it was doing those things. And like, there's a trick. I can't remember all of the things, but it's all about grounding yourself in the middle of an anxiety attack. And it's, you look around for 5 things you see, 4 things you can feel, 3 things you can touch or whatever, something you can taste and smell, and something else. And by the time you get through all of that, you're a lot more calm. Um,
Hmm.
I can't remember the name of what it's called, but I think it's like feel, felt, found. It's something, it's a really great method of like centering yourself and grounding yourself. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, like my dad, he's amazing. I love him to death, but he doesn't understand, because he just lets everything go. And my mom, like, she cares so much that she didn't understand. And between me, you, and everybody on here, she has anxiety and depression as well. And she just doesn't know how to deal with it. And I've talked to her about seeing a therapist because she won't tell her doctor. And her thing is that if she brings what's in her mind to the forefront, that it's more real that way. So that's where she struggles. And that's something me and her are working through. So that's why I'm always doing more podcasts, like just listening to more podcasts and self-development to try to help her work through it as well. But she's starting to understand. And like this last winter was really hard. I don't think I felt like I saw the sun for 3 months. Like it was just
Right.
awful. But it's just doing the little things a day, getting one of those lamps that have like the UV light. They're the UV lamps that help you, or even a tanning bed helps, gets that vitamin D in your system, and it just naturally brings that depression out of you. Um, but it's, yeah, like you can't judge a book by the cover. You can't, like, it's so hard to not assume. But I've dealt with jealousy as well. I was jealous of Kelsey for years, 4 years, because like I look at it now, she's going to be 38 when her son graduates high school. Like, you got your whole life. Like, I'm 33 now, my kid's not even 2. So I'm seeing those things, and like looking back at you, if you were married and you had kids, you might not have joined the service. You might not be doing this podcast or YouTube or anything that you're passionate about now, because you might not have been able to be exposed to that. So think of those things. Like,
Right.
a lot of those things
I
could
do. Yeah.
change. So it's just,
Yeah.
take it as it is, and sooner or later, like you said, your time will come.
Yeah. Just not now. Yeah. Because that's why I always go back to one of my markers. Like I said, everything happening for a reason. Not married now, kids yet.
Yeah.
During the military, when I did, meeting people when I did, whether ex-girlfriends or just friends,
Yeah.
just them being in my life. Um, if it wasn't for me flaming out at UWMC,
Right.
I wouldn't have joined the military. And then if I didn't join the military, I would have met some of my military friends that I keep in contact today. And if I didn't join the military and get out the year that I got out, I wouldn't have met the friend that I met in Oshkosh. I wouldn't have gone and be able to go to Oshkosh if I didn't have the GI Bill from the military. So everything has its purpose. Everything happens for a reason, whether it's a small thing or a big thing, it matters. And again, also, whether it's a good thing or bad thing at the moment, it matters and it'll shape your life more than a person would even know. So, yes, that's where I try to go to if I'm jealous of anybody, of just knowing of, all those things that have happened and the good that have come from it. And it will happen when it happens. And, not be ashamed or whatever of being whatever age I would be, let's say in the future, 35 with a newborn,
Right.
than what would have been 26 in a newborn,
Yeah.
you know. But, your life is your life, you make it the way you make it, and don't have to judge your life according to anybody else's. You make your life the way that it is, and through the good and bad choices that you have made as an individual, things that happen in the future because of that. And
Oh,
it's
for
not
sure.
a terrible thing, and it's just how your life dictates according to what you have done or not done. So yeah, in that way, I try to think of it that way if I ever get jealous. That's why I can go back on Facebook more often and see family posts, and I am now a godfather to my best friend Tyler's third daughter, Olivia.
Yay.
So I'm
Yep.
Olivia's godfather. So and just for other people, whether Kelsey or anybody else, seeing their family posts and stuff like that and being, hey, happy for them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and now being an uncle to Caden, I
Yep.
enjoy my with my nephew who lives with us currently due to situations. So, um, and experiencing things again, not as a parent, but as an uncle, but seeing things and experiencing things,
You're
whether
still seeing it on a daily basis.
little things or big things, you
Mm-hmm.
know. It
Oh,
is always fun. it is always fun the first time a baby throws up on you. So, uh, but
You
that
won't
that
ever
was
forget it.
yeah, I won't forget the smell either.
No, you won't.
But but anyways, having those life experiences, and my mom has been my greatest champion, um, and been here for me, whether it's with anxiety, with my broadcasting, supporting me as much as she can,
Yep.
um, even if there are limited knowledge of some of the things, but being there for me. In
Right.
regards to anxiety, like driving, she always makes sure, do you want me to take a different way to get here, or is this and that, or we have to go on the highway, but I'll make sure to just keep talking with you to keep your mind off of it, sort of thing. Like she's always cognizant of it,
Yep.
and there for me. So, I always am appreciative of her. Um, and it helps to say it today because yesterday was Mother's Day. But all in all, like I said, I think for me, that's where I go to in regards to jealousy, in regards to my anxiety in that way. And for highway, it's just getting back on there and doing it more often. I've gone, each time a little bit further. I'm trying to get back to Merrill. I'm taking the side road. I'm going high, trying to do highway, just trying to get closer and closer so I can go back to Merrill again. I haven't been there for 3 years.
Oh
So,
wow. Okay.
trying to go to Merrill again and find a way to see family over there. Um, because some of them, honestly, have said what some of your family members have said in regards to getting over it, in regards to understanding it, and oddly enough, one of them being in the medical field, but whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, but wanting to connect with them now that my grandparents on my mom's side have passed away, and the
Yep.
rest of that side of the family are in Racine and Chicago area. So
Yeah. That might be a little tough right now for you.
yeah, so but like I said, I keep myself busy, keep me, staying working, keep at the job. And also I made a friend from work, which now I then play D&D on the
Yeah.
weekends. So, I'm getting that new hobby. So
Yeah.
getting out there, doing things, interacting with society, being, as I call it, productive member of society.
Yes, for sure.
Mm, Excuse me, and just being out there and interacting with people, and also interacting with people with the YouTube, where I realize I'm not alone. I'm not the only one going through this.
No,
Sometimes that's
for
the
sure.
hardest thing for people that are dealing with what we have dealt with or still deal with anxiety and depression. Where they feel that they're the only one going through this. Not only does it suck, but all the world is on my shoulders. That's
Yeah.
where people get to the point of suicidal thoughts, because they think those things. And I'm trying to
Yeah.
think,
They're
but
definitely not alone.
yeah. So, um, yeah, like I said, for me in its own therapy is being this Steven and being here on YouTube, rambling about what I love to ramble about, talking my sports and enjoying doing that. Well, and then my hobbies with the D&D, with the puzzles, with the math, and otherwise,
Yep.
and just trying to, honestly, sometimes I think of it because like I said, I have anxiety with driving. It's like some days I have those thoughts of like, why am I not like I was when I'm 16, where I could didn't jump in a car, drive it on the highway with no worry at all, and just do it. Like, why am I
Right.
not that anymore? Like, it's sometimes, I have that thought where I just want to be that again.
Did you
You
have a
know.
trigger that really set it off for being on the highway?
Okay, so I had an accident
Okay.
shortly after getting out of the military, and I guess stupidly or whatever, decided to drive during a snowstorm to Oshkosh to visit Tyler, and rolled the vehicle on Highway 10,
Okay.
and
So that's your trigger.
and ever and yeah, that being the trigger. But like it is and isn't, like it is with the crash, but I'm okay more so driving when it's winter than it is summer, even though summer is more beautiful weather.
Right. But a lot of
So
people don't pay attention in the summer because it's summer. So that makes a lot of sense. Like I totally can understand that.
no, yeah, I couldn't at first. Like I'm like, you would think that it'd be worse for you in winter because this accident happened in winter in the ice and the snow.
No, because generally more people are more cautious. Um, accidents happen. But in the summer, there's rolling your windows up or down, there's phones, there's radio, there's all of those things, but there's no slippery ice. So people don't pay attention as much. Plus, there's more people generally on the road in the summer because of summer break. So it makes total sense to me, at least. um, but I can definitely relate to that. I've seen a lot of people have issues after accidents.
Hmm.
I did a complete 180 on 29 by Chippewa Falls with my kids in the car, and I couldn't drive on the highway for probably 2 months. And then
Nope.
I had to go home and I had to drive for an emergency, and I've been okay since then. Um,
Okay.
but it comes down, it's mindset, but I would definitely try to go from like exit to exit, get on and get off and go back.
Yeah,
And
that's it.
if you're feeling okay, do it again. And just make it a goal to do that like twice a week. Go to a coffee shop. Just get used to driving not even necessarily on the highway, but on a busier road. But go to a coffee shop and hang out. Do a podcast at a coffee shop. That's going to get you out more in person, because D&D is great but it's still putting you back behind your computer. It's not bringing the other Steven out.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's still getting out of the house and but being in another building. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I would definitely try to get out a little bit more. And I'm not saying go sit in the field. I'm not, no, I'm not saying that, but being out more with people is going to still help you be out more in general. Like, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
So that's
Now,
just, yep.
no, and I appreciate that. And that's kind of what I've been doing in regards to the highway. I go each exit that I can to get closer and closer to Merrill, like I said, and trying to get back to Merrill and see people or whatever. Maybe one of these homecomings, I'll go to one of the games. So,
Oh, Tyler
in Merrill,
Michelle's pants.
yeah, yeah.
That
But
would be awesome.
but how I brought up in regards to, what surprised me in regards to hearing your story and everything, and that kind of retrospective of what I thought, and then real sort of thing.
Yeah.
My assumption against reality. And I think about it yourself, but for you, from your assumption to whatever homework you were doing in regards to before this, and us talking here on me, from how you knew me, how I am today, what you've learned today, just I guess that stuff.
For
Does that makes
me,
sense?
I didn't know that you had any anxiety. I didn't know that you were actually honestly doing podcasts and YouTube, because I don't really listen to podcasts and watch YouTube a lot. That's my son, and he watches the Axel show for kids. Like, he's obsessed. Um, I don't I haven't done a lot of YouTube. So I did a little bit of research and I listened to a little bit of things. But I love your passion for that. So that's really cool. And I know that you've always loved sports. So that's definitely makes sense that this is definitely something that you enjoy. The anxiety and the fact that you have a hard time doing those things did surprise me. But you've always been quiet, and I like seeing you kind of come out of your shell here, doing these podcasts and YouTubes and everything, because it's always fun to see somebody thrive in an environment that they love. So I definitely, that's something I learned from you today, that you can definitely be two different people and work towards melding them together. And that's definitely something I'm looking forward to seeing you grow with, because it's always fun. Oops, sorry, my dog came to visit. And for me, the other thing was that you've always been kind. So to see that in you dealing with everything else that you have dealt with, that hasn't changed, is awesome, because you see so many people who used to be kind and now they're not, or people have been so mean and so everything that they're ashamed to be kind or scared to be kind because they don't know how they're going to be perceived.
Mhm.
So seeing that has been a staple for you and that you have stayed that course is awesome, because there's so many things in your life that could have changed that for you. Even being in the service and doing things with that, like you could have completely changed and not be nice to anybody, like because you've heard things, you've seen things, you know those things, and to not have that change you is absolutely amazing, because I've seen a lot of people come back a totally different person, and
Hmm.
that's probably the scariest thing that I have for anybody that's in the service, honestly.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, I even know people that were in the service that I knew from basic training that have been different, have changed from their time of service wherever they were stationed at. You know how they changed them, good or bad, otherwise. Back to something that you were talking about here in the beginning of this
Yep.
podcast episode, in regards to drinking or drinking
Hmm.
something or whatever of nutrition. Because I have actually here right near me what I have. I I have more of those Boost energy drinks,
Yep.
and that's my drink of choice. I always enjoy to have one at least once a day. But for you, what is your cup of tea?
My cup of tea is actually a lifestyle. I do the ketone or a keto lifestyle, and I drink exogenous ketones. So, and that's what I promote. That's my job. That is what I do for a living. So, if you know anything about glucose versus ketones, glucose is carbs and all the sugars and everything, and it spikes your insulin level, and ketones give you a solid state of energy, and it puts you into a level of ketosis where your body is burning fat for fuel versus your carbohydrates. So this is something that I drink every day. It's helped me lose, I think I'm on like 40, 45 pounds of fat now. And I am gaining more muscle because it helps with your muscle, just not letting you lose your muscle when you're dieting, or following a keto lifestyle. And it actually tastes good. It's not chalky. It's not tangy. It's not gross. But it is something that I drink every day, and it's literally changed my life. Like our main focus for this, it's not a dietary supplement. It's not something that somebody's going to drink just to lose fat or lose weight, because we don't say weight. We say because you're losing fat. Um, but it gives you a better mood, better focus. I sleep better. Um, my energy is, I'll drink one in the morning, even if I'm dead on my feet and I didn't sleep all night. I'll drink one in the morning, and probably within an hour, I'm up cleaning my house and I don't even realize it. Like I'm I have
Oh,
that energy and motivation to be better and to just naturally do those things. And it's that kind of lifestyle that I really want. And because of this, like I'm able to go outside with my kids and play. I can, like, I just don't feel like I need to take naps every day. Like I don't nap anymore, and I used to, especially with somebody who has. Sorry, oopsies. What happened? Am I still there? Camera turned off. I'm not. I don't know what happened. Um, so I guess I'm gonna finish this without my camera. But it's something that I drink to make me feel better and be a better person. So that's like like my main source of energy. And it's healthy for you. It's not something that's going to harm you in any way. It's not full of stimulants. Like there's 60, like a cup, it's between like 12 and 16 ounces, like a cheap cup of coffee.
hmm.
That's how much caffeine is in it. That's it. It's not like it's 300 milligrams like Bang, or yeah, Bang has 300 milligrams of caffeine in it. Like that's crazy. You drink a couple of them and you could have issues. Like it's just, that's not okay. Um, like Monster has stimulants in it, and that's just not what I drink. So this is definitely a better lifestyle for people. And a lot of people who do keto are like, well, you can get into ketosis without issues or without problems, and you can stay in it. Well, stress can knock you out. Well, anybody who has anxiety and depression
Hmm.
generally has stress. So it's really hard to stay in ketosis if they have stress. Um,
Hmm.
I consider it a tool for better versus something that I necessarily just drink, um, because it just, there's so many health benefits to it as well. So yeah, that's my go-to.
Oh, it definitely sounds like it's proven track record, something that helps not just for you but for many others as well.
Oh, for
So
sure.
yeah, it's only proven track record than just for yourself specifically, in regards to into that drink of choice or that lifestyle.
Yes.
That is that. Man, there's definitely something I myself be looking into because for me, with the anxiety, with level of depression, and otherwise, yeah, stress is always forefront in my mind, and unfortunately, I have to change my thinking in regards to imagination and thinking. Like even when I get out of bed, and it's not like I'm like scared of something, but like the first thing I'm thinking of is something negative,
Yep.
something of like just afraid of what this could happen or that. Like I don't like change. I like to have a routine. Like something
Yep.
goes against the routine, then I get the stress, then builds to anxiety. Sometimes panic attack. So I need to just go with the flow more often.
Yeah.
Not have to feel that my day, let alone that moment or time, has to go of what my brain is saying it's supposed to go of this, and this will happen and whatever.
Yep. For
Something else
sure.
changes because that's life, right? Things change,
Yep.
and you have to do something. So I think for me, in that regard, my situation, that's the biggest thing because, yeah, it's an odd thing. Like when I wake up, like now I'm trying to tell myself when I wake up, just think a positive thought instead of a negative thought. Think, you know, you
Uh,
know, new day
so
thing.
something that I do every morning, if I'm definitely feeling some sort of crazy way, I work towards coming up with 5 things that I'm grateful for, because that just automatically puts you into a place of gratitude, and that's so positive that you can't be negative after you think of 5 things, whether it's wow, I can feel my feet when I put my feet on the floor, or I'm so happy that the baby's screaming next in the next bedroom. Like it's those kind of things that really help change your mental attitude. Another thing that I do is daily affirmations. I have affirmations with a marker on my mirror in my bathroom, and it just says, I'm a great mom and wife. I can support anybody. I am willing to help people change their lives. And I just say them every day when I'm brushing my hair in the morning. And putting that positive thought in your head really helps get that negativity out. So it's definitely not something that just changes overnight, but it's
Right,
a
right,
work in progress.
right. Because of anything with positive vibes and positive thinking in the universe that you say, especially like daily affirmations, and the more and more you say it, the more and more you truly believe it. It's not just a phrase, or not just something you're saying to yourself to try to help you get through something, or try to help you get out of a funk or anything. It really is something that you believe and use for, like you said, at the beginning of your day,
Yeah.
to build that positive foundation to your day.
Yep.
In that regard. Specifically, that pretty much is it in regards to my end of it. Of any questions I had for you, as I'm trying to think off the top of my head. But your end, any more questions for me, or
I
any other?
don't think so, because I just kind of popped in and asked them as we went along,
Yeah.
just to make it all fit in together. But
Hmm.
I really appreciate you reaching out to me and doing this, because this was a lot of fun and I really enjoyed it. I don't
Yeah.
do a lot of interviews very often, so that was great.
Yeah, I had a great time as well reconnecting with you and talking to you about these subject matters. Like I
Yeah.
said, for me, in regards to anxiety, just battling each and every day. In regards to passion, looking into schools, and then for you, in your situation in your life and your daily affirmations and other things that you've done, your lifestyle and your drink that you have every day. The things that have helped and are helping you on a daily basis. And I'm sure you already know this, but still, I'll say it to you that you just keep doing that, keep focusing on that, um, and be the best Hallie you can be, and know, as I try to tell myself, you're put on this earth for a reason. You have a purpose. Everything happens for a reason, and you're living that purpose. As a mother, as a wife, and in your job. Your purpose on earth in a sense of being there for others, in
Yeah.
your way as a career. Me, I guess, being there for others in regards to, as right now, hobby and broadcasting. For each of us, having a purpose and God's path and God's plan. Um, but beyond that, thank you for being here. I do appreciate that. Welcome to let everybody know where they can find you on social media if you are on Twitter or otherwise, and how they can reach out to you if they want to in any time in the future.
Yeah. I am hashtag mastering Hallie on Instagram, and at Mastering Hallie on Twitter. I'm not too active on Twitter just yet, but I'm getting there. And I'm Hallie Savall, HALLIE SAV as in Victor ALL on Facebook. I'm the only one in the world, so if you get close, that's me. I do lives almost every other day, whether it's keto kitchens to help you with your keto lifestyle or low carb lifestyle. And I've been getting into more of this kind of talk, and just diving more into who I am and the person that I aim to become. So it's all like, I have a blog as well, masteringhallie.com, and it's all about me mastering who I am, because like I can say that I'm becoming Hallie, but I'm already Hallie. I just want to master who I am. So that's where I came up with my hashtag and all of those things. But I look forward to hearing from you guys, and feel free to friend request, follow, or send me a message at any time. I'm always available.
That's awesome. And for me, as everybody already knows, you can find me on Twitter at army_strong_06. Again, that's army_strong_06. You can follow me on Snapchat and on Instagram at stevek_06. Of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel here. Ring the bell so you know when I do my next video, whether live or otherwise. Part of the notification squad there. I hope you all have a great rest of your evening. Have a great week as well. Enjoy the weather in your area. And above all else, as always, take care.
Bye.